Hello, hello. Look, on the go.
What's happening? We're Brofit on the go.
I'm not treating Brian very well. I ran over with a client way so far. I'm like, you still down for doing this? And you're like, I don't know, man. I got life going on. I got life going on. Hi. I gotta
No,
wave.
that's not mom. I got my little ones with me. I'm just pulling up to the house right now. So I'm gonna let you start off what time we have left as I kind of gather them out of the car. It'll take me a minute or two to kind of get them all settled, and then we can jump off board. But I'm excited to talk about some fitness and some food.
Nice, man. Yeah, we'll make it happen. So, yeah, kicking things off. This is HealthDads. It's under the umbrella of VDads. And one thing our mission is making sure that we are always bringing confidence from a health standpoint, mindset standpoint, and connection standpoint. So, health, mindset, connection. And we are talking with this Mr. Brian Lang over here down in Arizona, playing taxi right now. He is a world-class trainer, knowing the ins and outs of everything with the body, also nutrition. I myself am a dietitian. I specialize in sports nutrition. And so we love to make sure that we're going back and forth and just hearing some things that we have going on with clients. We love to hear different ways we can move the body just to kind of wake you up a little bit, if not just make sure that we are focusing on body composition, long-term health. And we have some games sometimes to play. But we usually try and get this done in about 30 minutes or so, 40 minutes or so. We are never successful, and I'm even late today. So we'll have a couple minutes just to make sure that we talk through a few things here. So that's where we're at. But one thing we always like to get at is understanding kind of the state of clients and all things that have been really going on. And it's an interesting time of year because it's like pre-holiday for a lot of people, and there's a lot of Jewish holidays that are happening right now. In fact, a couple of clients that are potential clients that I talked to that are like, you know what, I want to kind of survey options right now. I don't know if I want to get started with something before the Jewish holiday here. So we'll see kind of how they feel right after, and that'll be an interesting thing to kind of play off of. But everyone is kind of in this idea of kind of post summer and now kind of getting back into routines of everything too, and we start to see it. And I think there's a lot of challenges that do come up for people still. One overarching thing is always around binge eating, emotional eating, no matter who I'm working with. But I know that we do tend to work with people that are more active, on the leaner side of things. But dads and parents are coming in all shapes and sizes, and I really feel that, and this is just out of two conversations that I've had today with clients so far, is that I almost had to pump the brakes for some people. Two people, and I had to pump the brakes for them in one way, because one thing I know is that I have a few clients that look, I work with people that are like the movers and shakers, right? All over New York City. And it's really exciting to work with them, but it's really challenging sometimes because to meet them where they're at is you're meeting someone at a mindset of all or nothing. It's usually just like, it's always on the go. It's always at 110%. It's something where they will say, I will run through a wall for you, right? At a detriment. They will jump as high as you ask them to, even if they have a broken foot. And a lot of times it's like, but if you want that foot to heal, we have to look at this differently. You can't always just think about going 100%. So, one guy today, I love the guy to death, and I've been working with him for a while, but he does go through these cycles of, motivation, body fat percentages. I think he's come down from like 25% body fat. He's gotten down to 14. He's come back up to 18, back down to 15, up to 17. So he's moving down, but it's very challenging sometimes to watch him go through this oscillation of this annual cycle of, motivation, non-motivation, challenge, whatnot. And so one thing we talked about today was like, man, your steps have really kind of fallen, and, you're moving really fall into. And we've tried to get some motivation in there with him. He recently pushed himself to run a half marathon because he's like, I just need something new. Great, let's do it. But
Okay.
talk about steps, it's always like, okay, well, how much am I going to run? When am I going to run? How fast am I going to run?
Mm,
And his goal, to be honest, is not performance based. It's not, well, something like a VO2 max, right? Being able to breathe a lot more efficiently is associated with, better health and, longevity and all these kind of things too. He's still focused on body composition and it will benefit his long-term health too. And so I'm asking him, I don't care if you run or not. When are you showing up? When are you putting time aside for dedicated movement?
yeah.
And so his questions are like, well, how many spin classes a week? Okay, well, instead of me saying, oh, how many do you want to do? It's saying, well, why is 2 days a week going to be better than one? Or why is one better than two? But tell me, like, when are these spin classes? He said 6:30 and 7:15. Okay, got
Mm,
it.
hmm
6:30 and 7:15. 2 days a week, you're showing up at those times. What about the other 5 days? What are you doing there? He's like, well, I guess I could go run. Well, why run? Like, why don't you just show up to go move? Like, is
hmm
that something that you can show me that you can definitely do? Because again, it's all or nothing, and he kind of falls off. Anyway, I know I've been talking a bunch now, but it's been a bit of like pump the brake a little bit. Show me that you can show up first, and then let's talk about you know getting deeper into the details here.
Well, I think you bring up such a great point, and I would love for you to continue to just keep talking and rambling about it because, and I say rambling, not just discussing it, right? Because it's I find that same similarity. It's an all or nothing kind of a situation, right? With a lot of people, and it's a full throttle 110%, and then it's a full throttle 110% the opposite direction. And so for me, it's I like how you said it, show up. Show up. Like show me that you can show up for 30 days straight, and then we'll go ahead and start making some changes. Everybody wants to make all those changes day one, and it's overwhelming and it's overloading, and it's not something that is maintainable for a long structured period of time. Perfect example, our steps that we're doing right now. 15,000 steps a day is not maintainable for me. Could I do it? Yes. Do I want to do it? Absolutely not. Am I going to do it for the remainder of this time? Absolutely, because that's just a goal that I've put up and I've challenged for myself. But it is showing up. That's what it's shown me in the last 30 days is that showing up when you just don't want to, waking up an hour earlier just because you need to create those steps somehow. And you're not going to use the excuse of 104 degrees outside as the reason not to, or that I'm hanging out with my kids, or that I've got other things going on. Cool. Nobody fucking cares. Well, how can you show up and put that time aside? Last night, I almost posted a picture of me just being like just, it was 8:30 at night and I had 8,500 steps in for the day.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm tired. I'm done being dad. I had my nighttime drink. I had my magnesium. I'm ready to go night night. But you know what? I also made a commitment to show up. And so I went out and I started walking and just fucking walk. Right. And then I coast into about 15,000 steps. But I love this conversation that you're bringing up because it seems like we are very much so an all or nothing society.
yeah. I mean, and I think the interesting thing where my ear catches what you're saying is this idea that you were tired last night, but you showed up for the walk because of the challenge, right? And you could have done it even without the challenge. But I think that a lot of people, I think the idea of showing up, like, why are you showing up then? Like, why are you, like, what is going to make you do it? Like, I know for me that I found a routine that works for me, but I'm going to tell you why. It's here because of my first and foremost, to be completely transparent, it's first and foremost for my mental health. If
Mm,
I don't get up early enough and move my body, I'm thinking about it the rest of the day.
that's
When am
right.
I going to do it? How am I going to do it? I don't feel as good right now that I could have if I moved earlier. Then my
That's right.
to spin. So I know that I'm getting up early in the morning to make my day better. That is not a body composition goal. It's not a health goal in terms of blood markers. It's not
Nope.
for anyone else. It's strictly to make sure that I am going to feel good. And
Sure.
so it's something here where I think that a lot of people, when it's something where they can justify things not going out, well, there's not a good enough reason. I think that's where we have to get to. And that's why I want people to, I want to connect with so many dads, because I want dads to hear and see that your confidence in your health is going to make you a more confident dad. And I think
That's
that
right.
that is a bigger reason to do it. And I heard someone recently say this. I don't know if I said it last week. When someone's having a hard time with a goal, and this is not mine, I heard someone say this and I thought it was good. It's just one way of explaining it. But this person was like, look, there's two reasons why you are not achieving your goal. You're
Mm,
either unsure of how to do it, like why you're doing it, like in terms of
mm,
like say a making sure that you have a calorie goal or a protein goal or a training goal. Like you don't know, well, why are you training? Like what does a bench press or a push up or what does a body squat do for you? If you don't know, you're probably not going to continue doing it. Or why you're going to eat protein, if you don't know why and someone's just putting this protein, like you're probably not going to continue doing it.
mm-hmm.
There's that, it's the education and the why, that reason. The second thing is most people don't have a reason to push them any further, because it's something where, and this is what this person said when I heard it again, there's two reasons why someone is having a hard time achieving their goal, right? The education piece, the knowledge piece, or the why piece. And and why in terms of the reason, like why they might do one specific thing. But the other one is kind of the why. Like, what is your purpose in doing this? And this one person said, if you put a mother in front of me that is doing something because she wants to be a better, stronger mother for her daughters and her son, you will find someone who's going to be successful. But if
Watch
this
out. Yeah.
person shows up and they don't know what they want to do, then it's going to be really hard to find a reason to continue pushing them, right? So I thought that that was good. I also love to bucket thoughts. And so it was like one of two things. You either don't know why you're doing it or you don't know why you're doing it for yourself. And so just focus on those two things. And
I
um,
also think I'm going to add something to that. I feel like I think some people are fearful.
what do you mean?
I think some people are fearful of what that may be like.
I'm tracking you. Okay.
What
Oh no, we got frozen Brian. This happens sometimes. And Brian always says, I'll have you back in 30 seconds. So he'll come back. Before he's back, I hope he's not still talking. Maybe I'm frozen. But Brian's talking about fear. And if he doesn't come back, I'm going to continue that fear thought. And I'm going to say this. Some people do get afraid. And I'll tell you what people get afraid of, at least when it comes to a health standpoint. People get afraid that their lifestyle is going to change. When someone starts to become someone with a more controlled blood sugar, lower cholesterol, they're starting to build muscle, they're moving more, they're just getting healthier, right? They're moving towards a better definition of health. When someone does that, they start to see their life changing. And when someone's life is changing, you know what also changes? The people around them, their friendships, their connections, their usual habits. That was comfortable before. So I track, Bry. I know that you are not here right now, but I'm going to continue your thought. I think people do get afraid to leave a lifestyle behind, because people do get afraid that, hey, you know what? Their drinking buddies aren't going to be, if they want to be the healthy person, it's not, that's not going to be your primary uh, circle of friends, at least not in the definition or the identity that they take right now. And some people, they get scared. They're like, well, you know what? It's going to get busy. And, I think with the holidays coming up, I can't stay this busy. I've never done it before. How am I going to do that? People do get scared. I definitely get it. I think what I want to say, though, is that people who are fearful that their life is changing, people that become fearful and scared, they're the ones, again, that need to be reinvesting in that reason that they're doing it for their kids, right? Again, I want to always focus on dads because I have such a connection, obviously, being a dad, but I've also seen so many dads that almost give up, that they give up on themselves, and their kids see this, and that then the dad doesn't feel as good because their kid sees it. And it's this spiral that just happens. And I want healthier kids. I want healthier dads for that reason. I want to make sure that they're all going to be this. Right. I was just running with your fear thought. And I don't want to step on your toes here. Quick point I was saying was that, yes, I agree. People do become fearful because they think they're fearful of the things that they might have to change and leave behind, like some friendships, at least in the identity that it was before, or the comfortable things, right? We always want equilibrium. Our body wants equilibrium. Our mind does. So we're always going to run back to what's comfortable. And so, yeah, some things might change. And that might be people around us. It might be the way that we're spending money, maybe more on a gym membership. Maybe it's going to be more on some healthier foods. But again, I would argue that healthier foods can be wildly cheaper. So anyway, but yeah, I was running with your idea.
And the last one I was going to add on to there is just the doubt of the belief in oneself. I don't think some people believe they want a goal, but they don't believe they can get to that goal. Right. It's either the fear of like leaving some of those things behind, or not believing that they can get from point A to point Z. They want to get from point A to point Z. They would like to get Z. I mean, but I think sometimes the doubt comes in there, and that I think starts to adapt into like self-love a little bit, and self-care and self-respect. Like, how much do you love yourself? To me, that's why I give this time to because I look at the bigger picture. God gave me this ability to move and the ability to praise him through my movement and sharing that with others. And so to me, that's the way that I can best express myself. And I know that when I'm doing that consistently, it feeds off on my kids, and it feeds off on my relationship, and it feeds off on the way that I'm handling my kids throughout the day. And just like you said, it sets off the tone for everything. And if I don't, I'm thinking about it. So sorry, kind of getting off track here.
No, there's never need to apologize. It's all on track. I think it's all definitely good. What would be a directive you think if you are having, and just, we can think of a question that I think a lot of people are going to, I think ask at these times. There was a great question of, how do you keep going? How do you get yourself into this moment of motivation when you're not feeling it so much? And I'm going to throw a piece in here. The answer that I don't want you to give, Bri, is going to be, you just got to do it. You got to dig deep. I don't want that answer from you. What do you do? How do you find your motivation?
Fear, partly.
So you are going after the fear. Is that what it is?
No, I'm fearful of what if I don't.
Okay.
I'm fearful of what happens if I stop moving. Like this morning, I wrote down on my steps. I said, Lean, I almost want to pull. I'm gonna see if I can pull it up.
No, you went away. Brad's going to answer that question. But I'm going to ask him another question, so get ready for this one once he pops back up. But there's always a great question here. I'm going to come back to, I think Brad's back. I'm going to get him on.
Sorry.
No. Dude,
but basically, the alternative for me is to do nothing, and it's full of excuses. Like to me, it's a mindset. It's an attitude thing. And attitude is everything.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you have to fake it or make it, attitude is everything. And for me to have the ability physically to back that mental is huge. And we've talked about it before, how like, working out starts, and they've done a lot of studies now that's shown that there's this like connection now with the brain, and just to me, it's just it sets off everything.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer.
Fear, absolute fear.
Yeah.
I've seen too many people not moving. My brother died because of not taking care of his body, in essence. And that had nothing to do with his, that had everything to, yeah, my brother was the perfect example of somebody that could get away with changing his body composition and his weight and doing it in a very unhealthy way. Caught up to him. And so for me, my alternative is sickness. I grew up in sickness. I was sick to everything. I was allergic to. I was a kid that would go out for a run with everybody else during PE, and I'd be coughing and sneezing the dry grass. One kid eat milk or didn't drink milk or didn't have anything with dairy products or bread with wheat. So like while everybody else was eating sandwiches and stuff, I was having something different. Like it was called flapra. It was like flat bread and butter. So I struggled early on with being regulated with foods and being limited just with my allergies and movement and being able to move. And I think that I just, as a young age, just powerhouse through it and created a mindset of, I never want to fucking get back to there. I never want to feel ill. I never want to feel sick. I never want to feel like I'm that just sickly duck that's just straggling along.
Yeah, it's this. There is a hump people get over at some point, right? Because I used to really connect with the runner's high sometimes, and I was like, you can't explain a runner's high to someone. It doesn't make sense to someone who's never felt it before, and that's okay, right? But the idea is to make sure that might be what kind of pushes you sometimes to make running feel like a drug. I'm kind of beyond that now, and I found my runner's high in the routine that I have now, especially with my lifting and how I do it that way. But there is something that you get over, and the absence of that feeling is enough to drive you to be like, that's how I need to feel, because that's when I am optimal almost, right? Recently, if no one knows this, and I know this is now the second stream that we completely did not do what we normally do, and it's because time's up. But one thing that HealthDads and VDads and all this kind of group has come from is every single morning we're doing a stream. It's called My Daily Dad. Or the Daily Dads, and we're talking about a meditation. It's really just a page from one of Ryan Holiday's books. But one thing in particular that got me fired up to no end this weekend, there was one page. It was on October 6th. It was entitled "Help Them Forge This." It's a page a day for you to read. But it was one about Theodore Roosevelt, who has a special place, I guess, in my heart, my mind, just because I love his story and I very much connect with it. But Theodore Roosevelt, just like Brian, you were saying that you grew up as not an unhealthy kid, but just sounds like there were definitely, health challenges that were in there. But so did Theodore Roosevelt. He was known for his asthma, very extreme asthma when he was growing up. And, this whole month of reading from this book has been about resilience and helping your kids build resilience. But Theodore Roosevelt's father went to him with this very, candorous, candorous the word I want to use, but with this appropriate candor, and told his son, he said, I'm going to read this verbatim, and who knows if this is actually a quote that was said, but this is what's in the book. It said, Theodore, you have the mind, but you have not the body. And without the help of the body, the mind cannot go as far as it should. And so you know Theodore Roosevelt's history now, right? And who knows? There's other people in life that have maybe had the same exact story that weren't as successful and as well known as Theodore Roosevelt. But my God, like that quote, it hits me all the time because it's something that I completely get there. And Theodore Roosevelt, I think, took it at a young age and was like, all right. And he said, it says in here too, he says, okay, I'll make my body. And he did. He went through boxing, he went through training and all this other great stuff that he did. But it's an amazing thing that we I think once you're on this side of health, you see what it is, and it is fearful. It is, we are afraid to kind of go back. It's like
Mm.
you want to shake people sometimes and kind of help them get there.
Attitude is everything. And I always go back to attitude is everything, because whether you want to do it or not, what's your attitude into it? It still needs to be done, right? You either move forward or you move backwards. You never stay in the same place, especially with your health. And so for me, I constantly want to move forward. I never want to be moving backwards, because inevitably as we get older, it's going to be harder to maintain, and it's going to be harder to gain. It's an inevitable ending, and I want that to happen as slowly and as um, I want to have as much control over those things as I get older. And the beautiful thing is we do have a lot of control over a lot of these things. We just are, depends on what we prioritize and why. Do we prioritize the money and the things and the working and the stuff? And do we prioritize the time and the memories and the moments and the health? Everything's everything seems to go pretty easy. Nobody thinks about these things when we just go on day by day. But when somebody gets sick, when somebody's not when somebody gets really unhealthy, then we start thinking and we start worrying, and at that point it's too late. Right? It's hard to play catch up sometimes and see the game. Stay ahead.
Yeah.
It's so easier to make those smaller changes, and just 30 days of consistency. Let's go ahead and some changes. You show me a mom who's got a goal, at a priority, and has got a why. Man, watch out, because she's going to blast through walls to accomplish whatever she wants to. And so that's where I'm at. I'm going to get sick someday. Something's probably going to happen. For wrong, right, or indifferent, it is what it is. But it's going to be a hell of a lot easier to make some of these smaller changes. Like when the doctor says, hey, by the way, you should probably not drink or smoke or do any of those things. Okay, cool. I already stopped doing those. Now what?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, perfect example. So that's why I say what I talk about, fear and having control, but the attitude is everything. What is your attitude when things are good? These are our attitudes when people don't want to work out good. Like, let alone when shit gets really fucking bad. So why not start stapling that mentality up and build that thing up so high to where you're like, cool, like attitude is everything. Bring it on. I'm going to take all these 251 characteristics that I've taken from Gary Vee, and I'm going to throw it into my lifestyle and bring it on life, because I'm cool, content, cool, happy with where I'm at. I can physically and mentally do it, and let's go.
I think leaving health decisions up to someone else is also something I never like. I never want to put someone in a position where they have to take care of me as much, and it might happen, right? You have to ask for help, but I never want that. Can I ask a question? Maybe we can even try and keep ourselves within some time with this last question here. There's always questions that I'm always going to see that people are going to ask, about lifestyle and diet and whatever else, right? So there's always these questions, and pulling up some that I've been asked in the past too, but really a general one. There's one question at the beginning here, but one question that I really want to focus on at the end. But in terms of like when I tell someone that, hey, I'm a dietitian, they're like, oh, food, and they love to open up. And I'm sure it's the same thing with you when they start talking about it. But they always ask, can you help me with a meal plan? Or they'll ask, what's the best diet? Now, I hate these questions, right? Because it's like, well, how much time do you have? Because I don't know if I want to have this conversation here. But that's the first question. But the more important one I want to talk about is when someone says, why doesn't my current meal plan work for me? That, I think, is the better question, right? It's like, well, why do you need a meal plan? What you're doing, why is what you're doing not working for you? Whether they ask that or we ask that, I think it's something to kind of bring up. But if someone were to, ask you, why doesn't my current meal plan work? Obviously, whatever the goal is, it could be body fat loss, could be cholesterol control, whatever it is. But I don't know, like, why, how would you answer that question?
I'd be asking them what they're currently doing, right? I obviously need to find out what they're doing, and are they staying consistent with it? That's the big thing. That's why I don't do meal plans anymore. People go, oh, give me a meal plan and, you know, I'll pay for it. And you never hear from them again because they just don't. It's impossible for people to go 30 days with trying to do something for somebody else. So that's why I have a hard time with meal plans. I try to transition in that with the foods that they like. So I would, if somebody's like, why isn't my meal plan working? Well, I would find out again what they're eating, why they're eating it, what their goals are. And then I'd start to find out where's the misconnection is, right? Are they under eating? Are they overeating? Are they, are their macros completely off to where their blood sugar level is just chaotic? Are there, there's a lot of questions to be finding out, but I ultimately would say, well, and I don't mean this to sound harsh and stuff, but obviously what you're doing is not working, right? So let's do something different. I always kind of start off with that. Instead of, hey, why is this not working for me? I usually go, well, it's not, I don't know, it's not working for you, but let's start back all over. And I always go back to step one, because as the trainer, I need to know kind of all this information anyways. I need to know, what are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? Are you consistent with something? Are you counting your calories? Are you checking out your macros? All these things. And have you been able to have a track record of that for 30 days or more, so that I know that, okay, the body's caught up to all those things, right, that we've been trying to consistently do for some period of time, rather than playing this roller coaster ride of, well, I've been on something for like 3 days, and then the weekends I'm really bad, and then 4 or 5 days I'm good, and then I go out and drink for 2 days, and you're like, oh my God, like it's one of these things. Yeah, that's why isn't it working? Well, that's a great question. Why isn't it working? I'd start asking them questions, and shoot it right back at them. Usually it comes back down to these things of, they're not following through, or they're not consistent, or there's a roller coaster ride of consistency. We talked about a bit. I think you brought up something. You sent me a text the other day, and it said something like, hey, give me 5 things that you would tell somebody who's trying to lose weight or to get in shape or something of that sort. Wasn't it?
Yeah, I was asking you, and there's still a conversation around that, but I asked you more of kind of like Brian's no BS top 5 reasons, or body fat loss checklist.
Yeah, I kind of go back to those things, like, I don't have that list in front of me, but
you're good.
Yeah,
here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Stop at that.
Because it's definitely good, because you said, and this is what I said. I said, no BS BroFit fat loss checklist, right? Because I think that sometimes we just need to make sure that those things are happening, and it's not wrong to have them. But Brian said here, he said, number 1, move. He said number 2, and he added more in here, more color. But number 1, move. Number 2, don't be afraid to eat. Number 3, recovery and sleep. Then you said number 4, attitude is everything. And then you said 5, repeat, repeat, repeat.
Don't be afraid to eat. That's where I wanted to get at. Don't be afraid to eat. I've talked about this before. I've said it once. I've said it twice. I'll say it 100 times. If you're eating clean foods, it is so hard to get 2,000 calories, 2,500 calories in. Most people, when they start going from this anything and everything lifestyle to, I'm going to get dialed in with my food and I'm going to eat healthy, their calories drop drastically, and too much. Usually they're under eaters. So they start losing muscle mass. They start dropping their metabolism. They start becoming a skinny fat person. And at first they're like, well, I'm losing all this weight and the scale looks great, but their metabolism starts slowing down. So when they start losing weight and they plateau, they're like, what the hell? And they keep doing this little roller coaster ride of this, kind of like you were talking about your client. I'm going between 15 and 18, and now I'm back at 16 and 19 and 14. You're like, well, what the hell's going on here? Like,
I'll change it up too, because I like what you said about the clean eating, or that you brought it up, because a lot of people will be like, they'll ask the question, why isn't my current diet working for me? And they'll say, I've been eating clean. And, my first reaction is like wanting to strangle someone, be like, there's nothing, like clean eating means nothing. Because to me, when you define clean eating, like I just think, okay, I hear what you're saying. You're probably eating a lot of protein and vegetables, and you're maybe not drinking as much. You're not eating, a lot of foods that are going to be considered snack foods. Like that's largely what someone means when they say it. But I think there's two big issues I see with that. Is one, most people, when they end up telling me that clean eating is what they're following, they usually have no clue that you can overeat clean eating. Like you can eat too much with clean eating. And I will say most people that I work with, they're all eating somewhat clean. But the thing is that you can eat 5,000 calories of clean foods. And so a lot of people, it's like they're like, I don't drink soda and I don't go to McDonald's and I don't really snack. Like I just don't know why I can't lose weight, maybe. Or I don't know why I'm having brain fog, or I don't know why, I'm feeling so bloated. I'm like, it's because you're eating too much. And I was making a joke with someone, it was another trainer. And I was saying this, I said, you know what? I've been, lately I've been feeling as if my answer to many things is volume. When people walk up to me and they say, man, I just don't understand why, I'm not building as much muscle anymore. Volume. There's just not enough volume. You just need to be lifting more. Or someone says, I don't know why I'm not really seeing this body fat loss any longer. I would say it's volume. You're probably eating more than you actually think you are. And that's not to tell someone that they're wrong in that case, because even when someone says they're clean eating, this is what I would want to do for them. Take away this idea of clean eating, because likely you are binging. Likely you are eating so clean to the point that now you're being driven to eat the foods that you don't think are clean, but you don't want to tell me that they're actually being eaten, right? Most of the time, and your body is nothing special. Outside of any metabolic disorder, you are likely eating more than you need if you're not seeing the body fat loss that you want to. And so there's nuance within that, of course, but the idea is volume most of the time, right? If you're not gaining weight, you're like, why am I not gaining any more muscle? Well, it's volume. You're not lifting enough or you're not eating enough. That's just it. Oh, I'm feeling so tired. It's volume, right? It's volume of sleeping. Like it's just volume. You're just not doing it. It's either that there's too much or there's too little. It's just a volume game. And then how we get to the appropriate volume might be frequency and then volume during those frequencies. So it's something where I always like to just make sure that I'm trying to figure out, like there usually is a simple answer. And if anyone's familiar with the, with like Occam's razor, there's a better definition I'm going to give right now, but Occam's razor is the, the mindset of the theory that, the easiest answer is likely the answer. The most simple answer is likely the answer, because in most cases it really is. And so we help people out by doing that, right? It's like, stop overthinking it. Like, let's just figure out, like, you might just need to make sure that you know that it is okay to have that dessert in the evening if that's going to help you not binge in the afternoon because you're missing something or you're so hungry, right? So I don't know. I'll stop there, but.
That's right.
It's just it's a crazy thing. So
robotic, just a little robotic. So if I start doing something like this, I'm just trying to clarify, just listen in on.
Oh no. You know what I've been trying to do? I've been trying to set up my mic. I think it was working the other day. I was trying to get my mic on. I think it was working, but I didn't think it was, because I think right now it's just a tinny sound because the sound's bouncing, I think, off of the wall here and then in the computer. So we'll change it. Anyway, but Brian, that's 40 minutes. I think that might be good. Why don't we leave it at 40 minutes? Because I was late. I made us late. I made us not consistent with this. But are you good for tomorrow?
I'm here. I'm good. Yeah, I'm going to be probably going live out of the luxury of my home. For some reason, the electricity went off in my studio, so I've got an electrician coming over this week, and it's putting a halt to some of my clients this week. So I may not have any really fun client information for you tomorrow, but we'll see what happens. And I'm ready to jam. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, please show back up. We are always talking about training and nutrition just to support you guys and your confidence. So yeah, we'll leave it there, guys. We'll see you next time, and we'll talk soon.